don't know what I'm doing, y'all, but welcome. Welcome to 3 Minutes with MT3 Live Edition. And clearly, I don't know how to run technology because it took me 7 minutes, 8 minutes just to figure out how to get this started. But I'm glad you're here with me because I'm just going to be talking cruising, especially for those who might be first time cruisers. And I'm just going to talk cruising and just answer some questions, some frequently asked questions. And so I hope that if you do tune in, throw me a question, and so we can get that in. But here I have just a list of questions that I printed out that I felt like are good questions for first-time cruisers to go over. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you don't know me, I'm Marcus. I am MT3 Travels. That is my company that I started. I'm a travel advisor. I'm an owner of the company. And really my goal, my mission is simply to just help people plan travel. I have a passion for it, and I do it for funsies. And I like to do it. So if you know me out there, you know, if you follow some of my videos, you know, if you have spent any time texting me, calling me, asking me questions, then you know. And if you know, you know. And so that's what it is. And so I'm just going to say what's up out there to the Facebook world. I've never done anything like this. Don't know what I'm doing. Not good at technology. Don't know. I really need my daughter here, Jordan, to help me because she's really the specialist when it comes to this kind of stuff. But nonetheless, here we are. And I'm going to just open it up and start throwing out some questions. And I'm just going to reply. And so if you have a question at any time, just jump in and I will answer your question live right here. So anyway, here we go. Here's my first question. So as I get into this question and these questions I have in my hand, here's the thing I want you to know. When it comes to travel, when it comes to cruising, when it comes to all-inclusives, when it comes to beach getaways, curated trips all over the world, number one, I can help you with any of those things and can be a resource for you anytime that you're looking to plan any travel. If it's just with flights, or if it's I'm getting a hotel room here or there, or I'm looking for a rental car situation here or there, or just general questions, I can help you anytime and I'm happy to anytime. This is not a commercial today, but I just wanted to throw that out there so that you know. So when it comes to cruising, cruising is a complex thing. It's not just big mega ships in the middle of the ocean. There are all kinds and types of cruising, and a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, there's ocean cruising, there's river cruising, there are big ships, there are small ships, medium-sized ships. There are cruising for expeditions that go to unique places. There are all kinds of things when we talk cruising. Today, I'm just going to focus on what most people will think of when they think of cruising, and that's going to be your ocean lining cruising. And so I'm going to kind of focus on that for the purpose of today. So here is the first question for you cruisers out there. And one more disclaimer I think is really important. There is no one size fits all when it comes to cruising. People's opinions and thoughts and how they see cruising and their experiences, they are their own. And so by no means is what we'll talk about tonight the gospel for cruising. It is literally an individual thing. So you're going to get to taste a little bit of my perspective and what I bring to cruising. I did some preliminary statistics on my cruising life over the years, and me and my wife Tracy have been cruising for more than 20 plus years, and we have been on many cruises. Actually, I actually calculated it. So let me look this up because I want you to know how many hours me and my wife have spent on the ocean. And for some people, you might think this is crazy, but it's not that bad, actually. I know people, my mother has probably cruised triple the amount of time I have. So here's a breakdown of how much cruising I have done. I have spent 176 days on the ocean cruising. That's 4,224 hours cruising, which equals to 25 full weeks at sea, and nearly 6 months of my lifetime I have spent cruising, which sounds absolutely crazy. I probably need to cut back a little bit, but I've spent that much. I have been on 6 or 7 major cruise lines, and done them multiple times. I've traveled on Carnival, I've traveled on Royal Caribbean, on Norwegian, on Princess, on Oceania, on MSC. I'm going on my first celebrity cruise here in just a few weeks. And so I have seen and done a lot of cruising. I've cruised all across the Caribbean. I don't know that there are any Caribbean destinations I have not been to, but I've done all throughout the Caribbean and the Bahamas. I've done the Mexican Riviera. We've been to Alaska. We've been to Canada and New England. We've been all over. I have not crossed the pond just yet. I have not been on a European or Mediterranean cruise, but hopefully we'll do that sooner than later. So we've experienced a lot of cruising. That's crazy. 176 days of cruising. I probably need to get a life, probably somebody would say. But right now, hey, I'm enjoying it. So let's get into this. Here's a question that I get quite a bit, and the first question that I'll throw out to answer today. What is the best cruise line, especially for first-time cruisers? This is probably a impossible question to answer. But I'll say this. Cruising, like I said, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So to say one cruise line is better than another would actually kind of do the cruise lines a disservice, and it really would do the cruiser a disservice. Really, the right question is, what's the right cruise line for you? What do you like? What are your interests? What's your vibe when you go on vacation? What do you like to do? Do you like to just sit at the pool? Do you like big crowds? Do you like big spaces? Would you like a lot of activities? Do you want things or cruise stops that stop all the time? Do you want a lot of days at sea? Am I just going to sit at the pool? Am I interested in shows? Do I want a casino? I mean, there are just an endless amount of questions that you have to ask before you determine which one is the best at this or that. My first cruise, me and my wife's first cruise, was on the Carnival Conquest back in 2004. And we loved it. We loved that experience. I know these days Carnival gets a bad rap, but man, there's crazy things that happen on every cruise line. And so Carnival was probably the best one for us. It had a lot to do with the price point. It had a lot to do with the activities that we wanted to do and how we wanted to experience that. So what cruise line is the best? It depends what you're looking for, what kind of experience you're looking for. Shout out to Michael Griffin, tuned in, my man Cricket. It's so good to see you, brother. It's been a long time. What cruises can you take without a passport? Mike, that is a great question. And actually, you can take quite a few cruises without a passport right here from the United States. And so pretty much if you start in the U.S., you're a U.S. citizen, you start in a U.S. port and you're going to return to that same U.S. port, or you're going to return to a U.S. port, you typically only need a passport and a government issued ID. Now, there are some cruises where that's not the case. If you go to Panama Canal, if you go to there are specific places that you can go where you are required to have a passport if you're leaving from the United States. But for the most part, Michael, and thanks for the question, if you're going on a traditional cruise, if we're going to leave, I know you're there in Dallas, if you're going to leave from Galveston or you're going to leave from New Orleans, you do not need a passport for those trips. Now, it's highly recommended, but it's not required. It's highly recommended because things can happen and people can get left. And if you get left somewhere and you don't have a passport, well, it's just going to cause some delays and things like that when you're trying to get home because you can't fly without a passport if you're in a foreign country. So getting in and flying between countries can be tough if you don't have a passport. Thanks for that question. I appreciate that. And shoot another one if you got one. Here's another question. Are cruises all inclusive? And this is probably one of those big misconceptions that people have from time to time. Cruises can be all inclusive, but for the most part, most cruise lines, you buy your standard fare ticket or your standard fare cruise fare is what I'm trying to say. And once you have that standard booking fare, it will come with a lot of things that are included on the cruise. On most cruises, food is included. There are specialty dining things that you can pay extra for, but food is included. Not all cruise lines are created equal when it comes to drinks and things like that, but for the most part, most cruise lines will offer water, tea, lemonade, things like that that will be included with your fare. If you want pop or drink or sodas wherever you are in the country, if it's pop, I grew up, it was pop. If you want pop, if you want soda, if you want those kind of drinks packages, they are included, which you can add to your cruise to make it an all-inclusive. If you want the alcoholic beverages and things like that, you can add them to your cruise fare to make them all-inclusive. And it's the same with dining and things like that. But for the most part, when you pay for a cruise, you're going to pay for the entertainment that comes. There's going to be included food options that come. There will be some drinks that are available with that. And then there will be other little things that are included, like if you go to the pool and slides and some of the activities, all those kind of things are included with your fare. The things that will cost, there are extra things on board that might cost. So you may be on a boat that has a casino. A casino is not included. You have to bring your own money when you are going to participate in the casino. If you want an extra drink package with alcoholic beverages or soda package or coffee packages, those are included. I mean, they're not included. You have to pay for those packages to be added to your experience. When I say specialty dining, for the most part, most cruise lines, you can get buffet and they'll have a main dining room that's included, an actual sit down a la carte where you'll order from the menu, where it'll be a nice meal where you got your steak and your lobster and things like that. Those things are already included, but there's usually an elevated experience that you can get on any cruise line, whether it's some specialty, so a specialty steakhouse, a specialty seafood restaurant, a specialty Asian restaurant, or a specialty Mexican restaurant. And these restaurants are typically elevated cruise dining experiences that you pay for extra. And typically you can anticipate between $25 and $75 per person to add a specialty dining experience. But make no mistake, when you get on a boat, what you're paying for, you don't have to purchase a extra dining specialty experience to get the most out of the cruise, but there are those options available. So can cruising be all-inclusive? Absolutely. You can make it all-inclusive, but when you're thinking about an all-inclusive resort, it's a little different from all-inclusive cruising, but it can be. And then there are some cruise lines, let me add this, especially some more premium, higher lines, where when you purchase a cruise, you are purchasing an all-inclusive experience. Some of those cruise lines, and it doesn't even have to be a super expensive one, you know, one of those being Virgin Cruise Line. If you ever get on Virgin, you are paying, for the most part, I would say 95% of it is all-inclusive. And then they have just some little extra things that you can add on to there from that point. But for the most part, you're getting all-inclusive experience. Me and my wife have cruised on Oceania Cruise before, and we have more of an all-inclusive experience, but it's a little elevated cruise line. And so it just depends on the cruise line when it comes to things like that. Mike has already asked this, but what kind of documents do you need? If anytime that you're going to cruise outside of the United States, if you're cruising from the Mediterranean, you're going to Europe, or you're going to some of those places, you always have to have a passport, mainly because you can't leave the country or enter into another country by air without having a passport. But if your embarkation is from the U.S. and you are staying in the U.S. Or returning back to the U.S. is what I'm trying to say, then for the most part, you are not required to have a passport, although it's highly recommended. I want to make sure I say that. If you're going to cruise and you have an opportunity to get your passport, get it. It's not that expensive to get a passport, 130, 140 bucks. I think it's about $135 right now to get your passport book. And it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get your passport. You fill out the paperwork online. You can go to your, if you don't have a passport office around you, you can just go to the post office, and the U.S. Post Office, you can send it. But there are passport offices, some are in libraries, there are official U.S. passport offices in different cities and states and things like that, but you can always go to the post office in any state. So how early should I arrive at the port when it's cruise day? This is a great question, and sometimes if you have been on a cruise before, you already know this, that there is nothing crazy like embarkation day. And embarkation just means when you are boarding a cruise ship. The day you're boarding a cruise ship, you have thousands of people getting off a cruise, and you have thousands of people getting on that same cruise. And so, number one, traffic can be crazy coming in and coming out of a cruise port. And so you always want to plan accordingly when it comes to that. But each cruise line, when you check into your cruise, and check-in typically happens between 30 and 50 days or so before you are actually going to disembark on your cruise, or embark on your cruise. And so, for the most part, you will check in before that time. And when you check in on your app or whatever the cruise line that you're on has set up, once you check in, you will select a cruise time to arrive to the port. And when you select that time, that's the time that you're saying that you're going to arrive. Now, what ends up happening is, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too, I'll select a check-in time and I'll arrive earlier because I'm just eager to get my vacation started. And that happens all the time. But what typically happens, there are some cruise lines where if you don't show up at your cruise time, they will not let you in. And then there are some cruise lines where you can come in, but it really will bog down the process a little bit. And so cruise lines have done a good job of trying to streamline the process so that it doesn't get bogged down and things like that. And so you choose a time that's suitable for you. Typically, I like to choose an early time. So typically when I go on a cruise, if the first time to check in is 10 a.m., then I'm going to select 10 a.m. And really, it just gives me a lot more flexibility when I'm cruising, because even if I don't arrive at 10 a.m., if I'm delayed or anything like that, regardless of what time I arrive, I can go ahead and check in on the boat. And so that's typically what I like to do, is just choose the earliest check-in time, and then that'll allow me to check in when I get there. So anyway, I'd be curious to know what you do when you cruise. Do you like to do the early check-in times? Do you like to get in later? And that stuff does matter, because if you get an early check-in time on a cruise, let me give you for instance. Let's say the early check-in time is 10 or 10:30 in the morning, which is typical. About 10:30 is typical for your first check-in time. And so if I am checking in at 10:30, that boat will probably start opening its doors about 10:45, 11 o'clock. You'll go through the check-in process. When you get to the port, you'll park, you'll do the things that are required there. But when you check in and you finally check in, if the cruise is not open just yet, you are going to walk into a little waiting area until the boat is ready, and then they will allow passengers to start boarding the ship. But when you get on board, let's say you board at 11 o'clock, which is pretty typical if you're in that first group. Let's say you step foot on the boat at 11 o'clock. When you get on that boat at 11 o'clock, you will have your luggage with you. Maybe you'll have your luggage. You can drop your luggage off with porters, but you might have bags with you, carry-on bags, all those kind of things. But rooms may not be ready. Typically, rooms aren't ready till around between 1 and 2 o'clock on most cruise lines, about 1:30. And so from 11 o'clock to 1:30, you are going to be walking around the boat. Typically, people go right to get some lunch on their buffets or whatever their dining options are. But you are kind of mulling around. Once you eat, you get that out of the way. Now you are waiting into those rooms, that announcement that the rooms are ready. And so you got to kind of take that into account. It's great to get on early, great to be on the boat first. It's great to experience that before it gets real crowded. But boy, you have a lot of time to sit around if you don't plan right. So that's just my 2 cents on that matter. Here's another question. Should I fly in the same day as my cruise? Absolutely not. I'm adamant about this. When you are cruising, you should arrive the day before. Whether that is you're flying in, you're driving in, you should arrive at least one day before. If you fly in the day of, and many people do it, this is just my opinion, this is not gospel or law, but many people will fly in the day of, and that's just fine. It'll save you on a hotel room and save you on some things. You get the early bird flight and arrive to any terminal. But if you have any connections whatsoever or things like that, man, depending on where you're flying from, you run that risk of missing that boat. That boat will not wait for you. All right. If that boat sails at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., which is typical between 3 and 5 p.m., boats typically will depart a port. And if you're late, they ain't going to wait for you to make it on board. And I've seen it way too many times where something happens, you get stuck in traffic, your car breaks down, your flights are delayed, all those kind of things. And so I always recommend, if you're able to fly in or drive in at least the day before, so it can kind of relieve you from some of the pressure of that time crunch that can happen and the things that can happen, because life does happen all the time when it comes to that. So that's my opinion. Come in the day before, find a nice hotel that you can stay in, eat a nice meal, and it allows you to be a little bit more rested too. Some of my hardest cruises have been when we've decided to drive. We're in Arkansas, so our closest port is New Orleans, and it's about 7 hours from where I am. And yeah, we've gotten up at 1, 2 in the morning and driven down to New Orleans. And by the time you get on the boat, man, you're beat, you're tired. And so that whole first day, you're just catching up on rest. And that's cool too, because that's why I go on cruises, so that I can rest and unplug and relax. And so it's nothing wrong with that, but man, it really can take a toll. And then even if you're flying, man, flying can take a big toll out of you. And so I always recommend the day before. That's just my 2 cents. What do you do when you travel? Do you prefer to come in the day before, or do you prefer to just show up on that day and take the risk and fly? Let me know. I'd love to hear what you think about that. All right. How much luggage can you bring on a cruise? So I have not run across a cruise line yet that there are luggage restrictions on how much luggage you can bring. Really, the answer to that question is, how much luggage do you need for however long you're going? I think one of the things that you'll find really quick when you're doing a cruise, the overpacking is just truth. I mean, people overpack. I overpack all the time. I will take so many clothes and things like that and never wear them. Sorry. So you can bring as much luggage as you're allowed to. The things that you have to think about when it comes to luggage more is if you're flying, paying for extra luggage and things like that. Those are the things that you would have to, keep in mind. But for the most part, you can bring however much luggage you want to. Just know that there's limited space in your cabin. Cruise cabins are not big. And so any luggage and extra bags that you have got to fit it somewhere in that cabin. Now, most cruise lines, closet space is not that big, But most cruise lines, you can put luggage underneath the bed, and the beds are high enough where you can put your luggage on the bed. But it is a lot to carry around luggage all the time, and trying to figure out how to make it fit in a cabin, because cabins are quite small. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not like a regular hotel cabin, or hotel room. A cruise cabin is going to be much smaller when it comes to that. All right, here's another question. What should I pack for a cruise? Well, I mean, I'm not the fashion guru, on when it comes to what to wear and what to pack. If you're my wife likes to have options. My daughters will say, we need options. And so they'll have 2 and 3 and 4 outfits a day, and me, I'm a minimalist. And so I'm going to wear a pair of pants, jeans, some shorts, flip-flops, t-shirts, whatever it is. But my philosophy is this. When I go on vacation, I'm going to vacate all the norms that I normally do. I dress up when I go to work and things like that. When I'm on vacation, I don't want to dress up. I want to dress down. And so I want to be as minimal as possible. Not everybody has that philosophy, but that's mine. Sometimes it drives my wife a little crazy, and that's okay. But I just want to be minimum clothes, minimum luggage, 1 pair of shoes, and I'll just recycle my clothes. They got laundry on board. I'll do laundry on board. And so that's kind of my thought process, when I pack. But it's to each its own. If you like to have a lot of clothes and things like that, that's okay. Most cruises will have some kind of recommended dress attire when it comes to like the main dining rooms. When you sit down and eat lunch or dinner, they may say it's recommended that you wear pants, or it might be business casual, or it might, they may give you some recommendations when it comes to that, and then people can plan accordingly. It does matter what cruise line you go on, because every cruise line just has a different feel, and some of those expectations are a little different on different cruise lines. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're packing. All right. What's the best cabin location? That's a good question too, and it's an important question. It can be an important question for a few reasons. So they say that the middle of the ship, typically when it comes to cruise fares and things like that, the middle of the ship is where you're going to get your higher cruise fares, because ideally in the middle of the ship, you're closer to some of the main activities. There are a lot of reasons that cruise lines determine that the middle of the ship is ideal for people. And then so people will say, well, I want to be on the middle of the ship higher, or because I'm gonna have a better view and all those kind of things. And there could be some truth to that. I think that the main thing to think about when you're talking about location on the ship, a few things. Number one, how close am I to the elevators? How close am I to noise? Because on a cruise ship, noise can be a thing. Is my cabin below the pool deck? Or is it below the club or disco that they have on board? Or is it above or below the theater that's on board? Because that could dictate the noise level that you have in your cabin. So if those kind of things are important, you should really think about that. Also, the locations on the boat aren't created equal when it comes to feeling the boat movement. And so in the front, you typically can feel the waves a little bit more. In the back, you can kind of feel the waves a little bit more. Higher up, you can feel the waves a little bit more. And so people who tend to get seasick, it's best if you're lower on the ship and in the middle. But most people will feel like, I don't want to be all the way at the bottom of the boat. Well, if you have issues with seasickness and rockiness, then that's a thing. If you're in the front of the ship, it's likely that you're going to be close to the anchor. All right. And I promise you, when you are close to that anchor in the front of the ship, you will have a wake-up call every time that anchor drops. All right. That anchor will drop and you will hear it. You potentially will feel it, and it will be loud. And if you don't like being woken up at 6 or 5 or 6 or 7 in the morning when you get to a port, yeah, well, the front of the boat is one of those, especially the lower you are on that boat. You're going to hear that anchor drop. On the flip side of that, in the back of the boat, you're going to feel those propellers. Depending on how close you are to the bottom, you can feel the propellers in the water. So vibration is a thing. And so if you don't want to feel that, man, you might want to consider not being in the back of the boat. Having said that, there are people who sleep the best because you can feel that vibration of those propellers, and they prefer to be in the back of the boat. And so it's such an individual thing. And this is why using a travel advisor can be very helpful in times. Because if I'm working with you and you say, hey, we get seasick, I'm going to know how to recommend things for you. If you're somebody that says, we want to be as close to the action as possible, then I can select a cabin or recommend cabins for you that fit that. So there's a little plug for using a travel advisor. But anyway, so it's a preference thing, and what's important to you matters. So locations are important, can be important, and they are not all created equal. All right. What's the difference between an interior versus a balcony cabin? Oh my. Well, this is a good question, and it can be a highly debated topic in the Thomas household. So, I am a person who will prefer to be on a balcony every time I go on a cruise. Why am I on a cruise if I can't go to the balcony, my private balcony, and be out there when it's storming and it's raining and when the sun is coming up or going down? I get on a boat because I want to see and experience the ocean. Now, somebody would say the whole boat is a balcony, and yes, it is. That is a fact. However, I like the idea of waking up and having breakfast on my private balcony with my pajamas still on, where I don't have to get dressed or do anything like that. I can just be on my balcony. And so a balcony is just that. You have a cabin where you have a sliding door and you walk out onto a veranda or a terrace or a balcony. And there's typically chairs on that balcony, maybe a table on that balcony, loungers on that balcony where you can step out and you can have a front row seat 24 hours a day to the ocean if you prefer it. And so I like that. Now, my wife, on the other hand, my Tracy, I love her. For many of our cruises, she preferred an interior. An interior is no windows, no balcony. You just have a box and there's your room. But she loves the sleep that comes with an interior cabin. She loves the sleep because it is pitch black, dark, and she is like a vampire when she sleeps. She doesn't want no light creeping in. She wants it as dark as possible. And so she loves that. And so in our household, it can go back and forth if we're going to get a balcony or an interior. I think now she's starting to settle more in to the balcony than the interior. But that's the difference. Having a front row seat to the ocean and having just a cabin with four walls with no windows. Now, the thing that's important with that, there's a cost difference. The interior, for the most part, is going to be your basic, cheaper fare for a cruise. And so if you're looking for the cheapest fare possible, your interior typically is your cheapest fare. So it will go interior, it will go ocean view, that's a window, it will go balcony, and then suites. And then suites can have a balcony, but they don't necessarily have to have a balcony. And so once you get to a balcony, you're going higher in price when it comes to cruising. And so I will always recommend a balcony to anyone. There are people, my sweet mother-in-law will say, I don't want a balcony. I don't want no octopus coming up and getting me on my room. And I'll say, if an octopus is going to make it up to the eighth floor of a cruise, then whether you have a ocean view or a window or balcony ain't gonna make no difference, because if that's a big octopus. So, so the things to consider when you're talking about interior versus balcony is cost, and then just overall ambiance of the cabin and the room, and kind of what you're looking for when it comes to that. But that's a that's a good question. I'll just do a couple more questions, and if somebody comes in, I had a feeling that I would be talking to myself for about 30 or 45 minutes. And thanks be to Brother Michael who asked the question. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. Why should someone use a travel advisor? Okay, so I'm gonna try to answer this unbiasedly, even though I am a travel advisor. Well, I won't speak for all travel advisors. I'll speak for me, for Marcus, for MT3 Travels. Why you should use someone like me. Here's one thing that you have to understand when it comes to travel. When you're talking about travel, number one, you are going to pay uh, the same amount for your travel as if you're working with me or if you go directly through a cruise line. So if you are working, looking at a cruise and you get on RoyalCaribbean.com or Carnival.com or whatever the cruise line.com, and it says that this cruise costs $599 per person or $500 per person. Whatever it says on that cruise line, I'm going to have access to that exact same pricing. Nothing will change. If it says it's $500 there, I will have access to that $500 as well. And so really, it comes down to the quality and the kind of service you're getting because you're paying $500 regardless. But with a travel advisor, when you use me, you have someone who is working with you that's going to give you specialized care from start to finish. So you're paying the same regardless. So when you go through a cruise line, there are awesome PVP cruise line agents that can help you, and they work from 9 to 5, and they can help you get the kind of cabin you want and get you in the right place. Or if you're someone who says, I just like to book my own stuff, yeah, you can get on to Norwegian.com or RoyalCaribbean.com and find your cabin and do all those kind of things and secure it yourself. And you're going to pay the same price for if you use my service where I cater to exactly what you need. And so you almost get ripped off, if you ask me, by paying the same price but getting no service or not good service. When you use me, you get good service. Now, the extra bonus for using a travel advisor like me, because I'm connected to a large host agency or consortium, I have access to so many deals that are out there. And so you can get online right now and go to Royal Caribbean and look for a cruise that's happening in the fall. Let's say you want to go to New England or Canada in the fall, or you want to go on a Christmas cruise or a Thanksgiving cruise, and you get on Royal Caribbean right now and you look at the price of that cruise and it's going to say $500. I am almost certain that I will have some kind of discount that is not associated that you're going to find by looking for it yourself. And so I will have access to deals because I'm a part of a big host agency. We get some of the latest, best deals, typically onboard credit, things like that are just standard when you're working with a travel advisor. If you just go to RoyalCaribbean.com, you're going to pay for that cruise. It may have a special where you get some kind of onboard credit or some extra perks. I typically have those onboard perks all the time. And that's kind of the difference. And so the quality of service you're getting makes a difference. You're going to get me 24 hours a day. You can have access to me, and I can speak that boldly. Anyone who has worked with me and has been a client with me knows that you can reach me any time. If I'm awake, then I will respond to you accordingly. If I'm asleep, I'm asleep. I ain't gonna wake up and answer anything. But you have access to me, and I'm here to help you with every single detail of any trip that you have going. And so why a travel advisor? Because you get the same prices, sometimes better prices, but you get better service. And that's what I stand on. I stand on that from beginning to end. You just get better service. All right. Are cruises safe? That's a good question. Especially in the day and age where we're hearing about more viruses and more things that are going on. Um, for the most part, I have never gotten on a cruise and not felt safe. I told you I've been on several Carnival cruises, and I've never felt unsafe on a Carnival cruise. Um, Fights and things you see like that. I've never been a part of anything like that. Those things can happen on sea and on land. Especially where I grew up. I mean, you get fights all the time. That's kind of normal to me. But I've never felt unsafe on a cruise. When it comes to health safety, that can be a different thing. And so it's really important when you get on a cruise to take every precaution to keep yourself healthy. And it's just the basic things that we take for granted when we get on a boat or a ship or something, or any vacation where we're in tight quarters, whether you're on a plane, you're at an all-inclusive, it doesn't matter. That those kind of viruses and things that find themselves you read about on cruises are the same viruses you'll find at an all-inclusive and places like that. Anytime where people are sharing food and things like that, that can happen. It's not uncommon for that. But it's just you have to do the basics. So washing your hands, uh, if you go to the buffet, before you sit down and put a fork or a piece of bread or anything to your mouth, wash your hands. Even though you just washed your hands before you got to that buffet, wash your hands again. When you sit down, have some hand sanitizer with you. Do all those kind of things. That's how you mitigate getting sick on a cruise boat. But you can even do all those things, and you can still a virus can still find you. It's the same thing, at your job or anywhere. You can do all that you can to mitigate any kind of sickness and things like that, and you can still get sick. It is just that you're in a environment where you're in closer quarters and things like that, more confined spaces. And so yeah, you can find yourself getting being exposed to any kind of sickness. If somebody comes on there and they're sneezing on spoons and coughing and touching stuff, and you come behind them and touch that same thing, yeah, you can get sick. And so it's important that you take every precaution. But as far as safety, I've never felt unsafe on a boat. I know that security is good when I go to any port that I go to. You have to be smart in how you approach things, and what the when, where, what's, and whys. You gotta be smart with that. When it comes to excursions and things like that, making sure that you're keeping yourself safe. So anything that you can do on the front end when it comes to those kind of things, the better. And it's a good reason to use a travel advisor. Just having access to all the knowledge that I have when it comes to different ports, excursions, things like that can help anybody, plan properly so that you can effectively make sure that you are as safe as possible. But at the same time, you have to do the good things. Mark Vaughn, what's going on, my brother? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well down there in Oklahoma. Always good to see you, man. It's been a while. So being safe when it comes to cruising, I've always felt safe, but we're always going to do what we can to mitigate any kind of situations like that, and we're going to be smart, and we're going to pay attention, and we're going to do all those kind of things that everybody should do when it comes to cruising. And so that's what I would say about that. Here's a question that people ask: can you use cash on board? When you get on board, how much cash should I take? That's a good question. So, for the most part, uh, every cruise that I've been on, every cruise line that I know of, when you get on board, you are not necessarily dealing in cash. You are you can bring cash on board, and there are things that you can pay cash for, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But for the most part, when you get on board, you will have a key card or a medallion or some kind of thing where the cruise line uses. That might be the same key that you use to open your door. That little credit card that you have, it's a key card. Think about a hotel key card. All right, so that same kind of key card will be your access to everything on board. And so when you want to buy a drink or you want to pay at specialty dining or you want to do anything, buy souvenirs in the gift store or gift shops or whatever the case may be, when you go to that register to pay, they're going to take your card and they're going to charge it directly to your room. So everything will be charged directly to your room. And then at any point when you first get on board, you will either connect a credit card to your cabin, or some people opt to do cash. So you can, instead of having a credit card on file, you can just do cash. And so you still will, they will still charge everything to your room, but you go down to the front desk and pay cash before you get off of the boat. They won't let you off the boat if you have a cash account and you have not paid your bill. You will have to pay your bill before you get off board. But if you have it connected to a credit card, it'll just settle on the card. What I like to do, just because I'm a stickler, I guess, I don't know, but if I'm using anything that I charge throughout the day, I don't like going to bed with charges on my account. So I will go down to the front desk and I will pay on my charges for the day. That's just what I do. I prefer to do that. I don't want things settling on a credit card. I don't like that. And so I prefer not. If I have the money, the cash to do it, then I'm going to settle everything on cash. Although I will keep a credit card on file. But I don't want things settling on my credit card. I'll just pay cash at the end. And so that's just something that I do. Now, however, there is one thing on the cruise that you will use cash for if you're on, depending on what kind of ship you're on, and that's the casino. If you are a casino player, if you like going to slot machines or playing blackjack or poker or whatever it is that you like to do in your time, then yes, you deal in cash in the casino. It's one of the only places. You can still use your card on every machine and every table. You can charge things to your room, but they actually take cash, and you can actually go into the casino to exchange bills, break bills, and things like that, because there is a bank, a casino bank, but a bank on board that deals in cash. So you can deal with cash when it comes to the casino. But for everything else, for the most part, the spa, the shops on board, all those kind of things, they do not take cash at those places. They just go right onto your card. And so that's how you pay when you're on board. So okay. Let's see. Here's a question. What is your personal favorite cruise line? That's a good question, Marcus. I'm glad you asked me. Thank you. What's my favorite cruise line? I think that for me and my wife, number one, I have been on one more cruise than my wife, and I don't like that. But I've been on one more cruise than my wife has, and that one cruise I went on with my brother Maurice. I did a little video about it, and you can see it if you go to my YouTube channel. But every cruise that I've been on has been with my wife. She's the only one I want to cruise with. As much as I love my brother Maurice, Mo, got love for you, but it's not like being with my lady on a cruise boat. And so uh, our cruise taste has changed over the years. Like I said, we've been cruising for over 20 years, and so we've done a lot of cruises. Let me go back to my cruise days and hours here. Let's see. So what did I say? We have cruised 176 days. 176 days. And actually, let me rephrase that, because one of those cruises she wasn't on. So 4 days she was not with me. And although I had a decent time with my brother, I was not at my best because my lady was not with me. But we have actually cruised together, me and my wife, 172 days. 4 of those days don't count. 172 days we've cruised together. We've been on several different cruise lines. We've experienced the big family mega ships. We've experienced small luxury ships. We've run the gambit. Right now, I would say, oh, hey, sweetie, yes. I would say right now, Our favorite cruise line is probably Princess Cruise Line. We've done that several times, and we love Princess Cruise Line. This is not necessarily an endorsement for one cruise line over the other. We like all cruises. But right now, if we were choosing a personal vacation, we're probably going to see what options Princess has. And I'll tell you why we like Princess in particular. Right now, we like Princess because it caters to an older crowd, and we don't do anything. We literally go on vacation to do nothing, and that's why I like cruising. We don't do anything, and so we both work around kids. My wife is a teacher, and so she's dealing with little ones all the time. I work with college students on a regular basis, and sometimes they are like children. That's probably not fair, but I do work with children, and I've been a children's minister, youth minister. I've done a lot of those things in my time, and I love people, love being around people, love children. I love all those kind of things, and my wife would say the same thing. But when I'm on vacation, I prefer not to have a lot of children running around at this stage of my life. And so, with that being in mind, we tend to look more for the premium cruise lines. And there are several premium cruise lines, but for the most part, Princess, Holland America, Celebrity Cruise Line, um, Virgin Cruise Line, they have no children, but it's still, they consider adults 18. I don't want to. If I could cruise not having a lot of 18-year-olds, I prefer that too. And so those other premium lines like Holland and Princess and Celebrity tend to cater to a higher. They tend to cater to an older, more mature group. And typically we'll get on, I'm 47 years old. When I get on a Princess cruise, me and my wife might be some of the youngest people on there. But we absolutely enjoy cruising with the more mature crowd. We love being around older people and the relationships we build when we're on cruises with older people. We like the laid back slowness of it. For some people, even that are my age and older, they don't want to be on a slow cruise. They prefer to be where it's a lot of activity and kids running around and things, and that is absolutely a-okay. I can tell you all the great cruise lines and point you in that direction. But when we're cruising, we like the slower cruise feel. We like at 10, 11 o'clock, I want to be in bed. I'm tired. I'm old. I'm sleepy. And so we like getting in the bed. And so that's kind of our preference at the moment. But we like all of the cruise lines. We like Carnival, and we like Royal, and we like Celebrity. We like MSC. We like Norwegian. Oceania was our cruise we went on. That was a little more elevated cruise, smaller ships. We enjoyed that. But if we're choosing, we prefer smaller ships, even Princess cruise ships that are smaller, Carnival ships that are smaller, Royal Caribbean ships that are smaller. We prefer the smaller ships as opposed to having 5,000 and 6,000 people on board. We like the smaller ships. So that's kind of where we are right now. But that changes because as we get older and as we experience different things, we like doing different things. I'm gonna answer one or two more questions, and then if somebody comes in and asks a question, I'm happy to answer it. What cruise mistakes do first timers make most often? This is a good question. I think, and this question is not just for first timers. I think that this is a thing, period. I think most first time cruisers overpack. Overpacking is just the bane of my existence. I hate taking too much clothing. It just takes up space, put a whole lot of energy into planning out outfits and doing all this, what we all do when we're going on any kind of vacation. We're excited to go, we're excited to get there, and we tend to overpack. And it's frustrating when you're on a cruise, for me at least, because you don't have a whole lot of space in those cabins. Like I said earlier, it's not a whole lot of space. And so when you overpack, it's disappointing to have all those clothes and things like that, but it takes up a lot of space. And then, you're on vacation, so you might find that you like to buy a lot of souvenirs, or you want to bring back stuff, and you don't have room in your bag because you're overpacked. So overpacking is a thing, and it can be a pet peeve for me even now, even though I've been on 30 or so cruises. It's still a pet peeve when I overpack. So my luggages have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller over the years, and I still overpack, and it's just so frustrating. It's a good problem to have, but it can just be frustrating. So overpacking, I think, is one of those things. What's a big pet peeve for you? I'd be curious to know for you. What's a pet peeve when you go cruising? What gets on your nerves? And you don't have to talk about other people. Talk about yourself. I just don't like all that. It's just too much packing. It drives me crazy. So anyway, well, I have several more questions that I can ask, but I think I'll save it for another episode at another time. I appreciate everybody who has tuned in to this very first MT3 Travels 3 minutes live. That's more than 3 minutes. Let me tell you where the 3 minutes came from, by the way. If you've seen any of my videos on YouTube, and go check out my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. I am not a social savvy person by any means. There's nothing about me that is socially savvy. To do this, it was hard. I couldn't even figure out how to start this live. I was 7, 8 minutes late because I didn't know what button to push. It was very frustrating. But I've started to make videos with my travel experiences is what I'm trying to say. And so I have started a YouTube channel, and I'm gonna post that link right here in the comments. But I've started a YouTube channel, and I just I don't know what I'm doing when I make my videos. It's just me and my camera, me and my iPhone camera, and I will record myself and record different experiences. So one day I just determined, I'm gonna do a video because I was getting on a train. I was riding a train. The train video, if you've seen a train video of me, and I'll post the link in this before this is over. But if you ever seen my train video, that was one of the first videos that I ever did. And I just did it because I just wanted to do it. There was no, I didn't have any purpose. I'm not trying to be a social media influencer or anything. And so I did that video, and people liked it. And I was like, oh, okay, people like videos. Let me do another video of a different experience. And so I started doing these videos, and I didn't want to do videos like everybody else does videos. They kind of do their videos. They're all the same. You can type in a search thing on YouTube, whatever you're looking for, any cruise, all inclusive, anything that you're looking for. And typically all the videos are the same. And so I decided I want to do something different. So MT3 Travels, that's my name. MT3, if you know who MT5, that's another story for another day. MT5, me and my brothers, our singing group from way back in the day. I'm the third, so it's MT3. That's who I am. There's one other MT3 out there, and that's Martin Thomas the third. He wants to claim to be the true MT3, but I'm the first MT3. But he has some claim to that. But I decided to say I wanted to just do something different with videos. And so I decided I was going to put together videos. They're going to be short. So I was like, 3 minutes. 3 minutes with MT3. That's going to be my video series. 3 minutes. Every video that I do, I'm going to try to focus it on 3 minutes. So 3 minutes with MT3. And within these videos, I'm going to, in 3 minutes, give you a little snippet of my experience, my travel experience that I had. But more importantly, I'm going to have some positivity, encouragement with every video I have. And so I'm going to tell you something that inspired me, something to encourage you, in anything in that thread. It is not meant to sell anything. I just want to invite you into the experience that I'm having. And it's just going to be 3 minutes, and it's going to be positive. I'm going to find the good things that happen in that time, whatever I'm doing, whether I'm walking down the road or if I'm on the ocean or wherever I'm at. I'm just going to tell you something positive because there's just so much negativity online, and I'm just tired of it. Even watching people's travel videos when they give their perspective and they want to tell you all the negative things about it, and that's cool and all. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted my videos to be encouraging, uplifting if they can be, and plant seeds for people to think about traveling in a different way. Find the positive things that come from relaxing and getting away and connection and connecting to each other and to yourself and our connection to God and all those kind of things that come with the relaxation that comes with traveling. And so that's where my 3 minutes with MT3 came from. And so this is my first 3 minutes with MT3 live edition, even though this has been an hour long. I don't know how I talk for an hour, but an hour long. But everything I do that's social media or video wise, it will be 3 minutes with MT3, whether I'm talking for an hour or the video is actually 3 minutes. So that's just a little bit of where I am. I'm going to share my YouTube channel with you right now, and I'm putting this in the comments. If you want to come and check out some of my content that I don't know what I'm doing, I don't even know how to share my YouTube channel appropriately. You'll see when I get that. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So if you want to get on there and just check out my YouTube channel, I don't know how to make videos. I hit record on my on my iPhone and I talk over them and I tell you about my experience. There's nothing fancy about what I do. It's just me and my phone and my wife and my brother Mo, because he was with me. And then my daughters will be with me as well from time to time. And so that's MT3. That's who I am. I'm here to talk about these kinds of things, and I'm here to talk about them with you. So anytime you have questions, you want to talk travel, doesn't matter what kind of travel, whether it's cruising, all-inclusives, honeymoons, beach, airlines, hotels, I do everything. Groups, if you're planning a family reunion trip or you're doing any kind of group, anything like that, I'm happy to help you anytime. Reach out to me, shoot me a Facebook message. I'm gonna also put my website on here so that if you want to go directly to my website and see some specials that we have on travel and things like that, you can reach me on there as well. But you can come and reach out to me, call me, contact me, doesn't matter. Facebook me. I'm here for it, and I'm here to help you. My only goal is to help people travel well, travel better, and just to be well informed. And so if I can help you in any way whatsoever, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. For now, good to talk to you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Peace.